What is up, guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs. We're back on another episode. I want to work on Ben's Roadster today. Biggest thing is I want to get this thing running. We want to hear it. The whole entire motor's been built. We got that new cam in there, the really neat tri-power setup that's been designed and made by the previous guys. This is straight, brand new, straight from Powermaster themselves. It is a 12-volt generator. We have not a lot of room to be able to put this anywhere. Let's get into designing, making some bracketry for this, mount the coil as well. The next major component on this will be the exhaust. The wiring's gonna be done. This thing can literally fire up. We'll probably back it out of the driveway on a nice Friday, crack a cold beer, break that cam in, and listen to the beautiful note that hopefully this thing is gonna make. So let's get into the video. This is straight, brand new, straight from Powermaster themselves. It is a 12-volt generator. I personally really like the look of a generator versus an alternator. The best thing is with this car, you know, we kind of are going for that more late 50s style. Now that we got the dirt tracks on there, the chrome reverses, they just look really cool. We have not a lot of room to be able to put this anywhere. Usually, these old generators on the older motors were always kind of stuck up quite high. We don't have any room down below because of the steering box. On the other side, there's not enough room in there. Also, once we allocate space for the exhaust, again, we're kind of hindering on space. I'm thinking, let's mount it over off the side here. It's gonna stick out a little bit, similar to something like that. Obviously, we need to make sure we're keeping a bit of room from our little spark plug covers that we've made. Biggest thing, obviously, is trying to make everything line up. All right, so what we've come up with, this is the inside diameter of the cast bracket of the generator itself. This is a little tab. It's out of the exact same flat bar, and I've just offset it. So this flat piece, what I'm thinking is, it's gonna mount like that. This is gonna sit like this. I kind of just roughly measured it on that side and that side. Then we can have a rotating point. So I'm gonna make another one of these now. We're gonna tack this to it to make sure that we're even in the close to the ballpark. Yeah, to get the exact hole set up. Right about there. And let's grab our transfer punches. Here are our transfer punches, and they are basically a punch with a little point, and you just pick the right one that fits in the hole, which is probably that guy. This one's gonna be a little bit too big. We are working with probably a metric hole, which is silly of me. So we're just gonna tack everything together. Little piece of advice, use a little bit of paper for a little bit of a, you know, for your tolerances. We don't wanna weld this all in and then have it not fit in here properly. So paper is just the right thickness for being able to tack this into place, and then we can weld it, and it will, in fact, be just enough where this will slide up into here after it's welded together. We measured our face here down to our edge here, making sure that everything's going to be square that way. And now that it is tacked into place, there's our pivot. So I'm thinking we're very much in the ballpark. That face is lining up, so it's gonna sit something like that. Okay, so we need to get a little template of our holes here, and it's probably kind of hard to see because it's obviously a black motor in the shadow. But what I'm gonna do is use this piece of paper, and I'm gonna try and line the edge up sort of with our edge there, and that way I can figure out our angle. We're just gonna use the dirty finger trick, figure out where our holes are, keeping the paper flat. I think there's another one right here. And then I would like to reference the area of this intake because it does sit a little bit proud. So I just want to take these into consideration, and then we need to kind of come up to where this is going to sit, which is going to be somewhere in this area. So we just need to make sure that we join the two together. So dirty hands always work for a little bit of a template. So obviously I'm gonna try and make these lines parallel with our valve cover traveling up here. Let's transfer this over to a piece of steel and try and make an actual object. I think I'm just gonna cut it out and then see what the shape is visually after we have the excess off. And I might just shape it to be a little bit nicer, but biggest thing is obviously drilling out our holes and then making sure everything is gonna fit properly. Once it's all tacked together, then we can kind of finesse it, add some pieces where we want, or do whatever. So now I have a clean face, everything is measured. So essentially our center of our V-belt is dead in line with the center of the bottom pulley. Everything seems to be really nice and square too. So really, I could probably just quickly roll the TIG welder over here, give this a tack here and here on both sides, and then we can take this off, weld it, put a gusset in and the rest, and essentially that's where it's going to sit. Okay. Okay, looks pretty good. So, biggest thing is trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Obviously, this is not gonna support the entire lot. We wanna be able to put a gusset in on one side, and that will definitely help. Maybe just make it look a little nicer. But let's go test it again on the car now that it is fitted, and then we can figure out what we're gonna do for a gusset. What are you guys using for hardware at your workshop? We are looking to invest into some assorted nuts and bolts in a big bin so that we don't have to keep running to the store all the time, because I find myself doing it a lot. Wow, beautiful. So, yeah, okay. So see that? We need to eliminate that. So obviously having this bolt on there is going to take a fair amount of that out there, but I do want to want to try and get a bit of that out. So that's what that, obviously putting the gusset in is going to eliminate almost all of that. Hey, by the way, we just wanted to thank you guys for all your support and everyone who has purchased a t-shirt off our store. It definitely goes a long way. Having said that, we have a new graphic coming in next week. This is the Popeye axle dropping shirt. A really cool collaboration between myself, Ben, and Evan, who has done a few graphics for us. Kind of had the really fun idea of doing Popeye dropping an axle. So it turned out immensely better than we even imagined. So we got it on a gray crew neck with the black on the front, as well as the vintage black. We got it on the front, Bennett's axle dropping surfaces, and again on the back, same deal, but in white. Love this one. It's bitchin'. So make sure you guys jump over to the store. These will be available next week, so keep an eye out. And once they are live on the website, we will let everybody know. All right, so we got our little piece tacked in, our little gusset here, and I've just mocked it up again. We're just trying to figure out getting our next part of our bracket situated. So this part is the pivot, and this is what gives you your tension on your belt. So this is actually a bracket off of the Hemi Coupe, and it has a similar setup, and this essentially is what it's doing. So we just need to make sure that we have an ample amount of room here in our slide. This is that 24-ounce straw board. It's like a craft board. I do all my templates with this. We know that this is going to be our pivot, so we want to go off the center of our pivot, which is there, and the center of our stud where it locks into place. So we know that this generator will only move in this setup here. That is going to be our pivot. So anything in this area like that on center is going to be our area where it will be able to run on the stroke. So this is our pivot here, and then this is how much movement we're going to have out of that. Okay, so here we have our little template, and basically our pivot is right here. This is where the generator will pivot on. And then these two mounts here are these top of the water pump. So essentially everything is going to line up like that. This is our slide. So this is the area that you'll have your adjustment for your belt. And then the generator will sit inside here. cleaned up. And here, all I did was just drill multiple holes and then got in there with the file, cleaned it up. It's not perfect, but it will do. Again, you guys have seen me use this fancy little tool here. It is our little $50 router that we were able to pick up, and this thing does an incredible job of beveling the edge. You can adjust it to how much you want to take off. I've already done one side. I'm just going to flip it over and we're just going to run it around. This thing is seriously one of the best little tools. I saw it on Carl's channel at Make It Custom, and it's just like, you would just think for that price that it's not really gonna work that well, and I have literally abused this thing so hard, and it just keeps going. It's amazing. Okay, so here we go. Got our nice little bracket. All of our edges are really smooth. So let's go test it and see how it fits. Yeah, there's not much in that. There's a tiny, tiny little bit of flex, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to cause any issues. Okay, well, while we're on a roll, what I'd like to do is take our paper template again, make another piece of steel like this, drill some holes in it again, and then we're gonna mount it over here so that we can get this guy mounted there. And then I think that's really gonna kind of tie all this in. All right, so we got everything in the sandblaster. I put the pulleys through as well. I kind of was tempted to almost polish these, but I don't really like the look of polished aluminum. But I just thought they may look nice like this. I was gonna put it through the solution, but I also like a bit of the contrast, and that generator that we've mounted on there, that's got a really nice sort of clean shot blast aluminum that's obviously sealed on there as well. I'm just using like a beeswax or a furniture wax. Kind of a tip, I guess, to doing this is usually I'd just apply it to a rag and wipe it on there, but having all these little grooves, I just use a little brush, dip it in the wax, and then I wipe it on. Now this wax isn't gonna last forever, but it's definitely gonna seal it for a while. But all I do is just wipe it on like so, and then I just wipe the excess off with a rag. But it's just to get in all the little nooks and crannies, and you know, the cast on this in certain bits is quite porous, so we want to just make sure that we are filling up all those little bits. So great part about doing custom bracketry is you can buy supplied stuff. There's tons of aftermarket things, but kind of allows you to get a little bit more custom with it. This costs, say, maybe 10, 15 bucks in material that we had as kind of scrap. It kind of makes up for spending big dollars on stuff. I think you can really get, you know, carried away with things, and the accessories really add up. I think that's probably time to wrap up the video. I'm super happy with the way everything came out. These are all the small details that I can't emphasize more to try and challenge yourself with. It's very easy to do. We used a drill press, a grinder, and some cardboard to make it all happen. So, you know, yeah, with this stuff, you definitely don't need any of the fancy tools. You just need a creative imagination, some patience, and you can kind of create lots of different pieces for your car. Like these reflect anywhere, any part of the car you need to do. Brackets, 4-link brackets, headlight brackets, steering column bracket, rear tail light brackets, whatever you want to do, you can make this stuff. So that was really fun. That Castlemaine water pump definitely is a suggestion for if you guys are putting in a 302 Windsor or 351 and you need a little bit of extra space for your radiator. I would definitely suggest it. We haven't actually used it yet, so I don't know how efficient it's going to pump, but I would assume it's going to do just fine. Again, with the headers, probably going to go with 1.58" primaries. We have to make a set. Ben wants to run a full hood and sides with the grill. I totally agree. I think it's a very clean and nice look. Having said that, unfortunately, with running a big HQ Holden steering box that this does have on it, it puts massive limitations to where we can actually put our exhaust because of the way the steering is going to be set up. So we have a new steering column. I got a really cool old 40 Ford steering wheel that's going to go in here, and on, you know, basically the steering is going to be sort of number one. And then we're going to build the exhaust around that. So whether or not the exhaust does come out the side, and then we'll kick it back under the frame, it is possible, sort of a Lakester style exhaust. If I could avoid doing that, I will. If we can somehow MacGyver a way to get everything sitting inside the frame rails, we're definitely going to try. Internally, this motor is completely finished. It's got that really nice stouty cam in there. We've just put new push rods in. So we're real close to starting this up. I think like potentially in the next couple of videos, maybe the next one, you know, this thing's gonna get a fire up and a cam brake in, which is gonna be very exciting. So, but the boys are coming today or tomorrow to start the wiring. They've already started to run a lot of the harness. Steering column, brake, pedal, and a couple of hoses for the front, and a bit of a floor and a fuel tank. And this thing is like kind of good to go. I really like these Orchard posts. I believe these ones were a set that was manufactured from a gentleman off the Ham. If you guys aren't familiar with the Ham, it's basically the hot rod Bible form. So you can go on there. Multiple questions have already been asked. So there's so much I've learned off that place. There's multiple build threads. So if you are building a car, you can go on there and search it. And there's probably 100 of them that have been made in all different ways. And yeah, you get a lot of inspiration and a lot of knowledge from the guys on there. So yeah, definitely suggest, you know, popping on if you're not already on there. Fingers crossed this thing's gonna be bombing around for summer. We're not far off, couple of months. And I think if we just keep the momentum going on this, we're really gonna get pretty far on it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. It was a little bit basic, but you know, just showing you what, you know, you can get creative with some simple tools, a little bit of cardboard, bit of metal, you know, being able to run stuff like this. I think definitely on a car like this or an early style, a generator just looks so much nicer than an alternator. So rather than just going out and buying an alternator bracket for a 302 Windsor, you know, being able to create something that looks this nice, I'm very happy that we went down that path. We are going to be cranking along more on the combi van. Last week, I've got the whole transmission back onto it, and that thing is going to start to really evolve over the next couple of months. We want to crank it out, get it finished, get it over to the client, and see it, you know, driving around. So hopefully on next week's episode, I'll be able to give you a sneak peek of the wheels that we were putting on this thing. I'm just going to go out there and say it. I don't think they've ever been put on a van before, so hopefully we are the first. And if they have been, well, I stand corrected. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit notifications. And again, we don't say it enough. I just want to say thank you so much for all your support with this channel. It seriously makes it so much more enjoyable to create and do all this content every week because of the amount of feedback that we get from you guys and how positive it is. It seriously is so nice having you guys involved. We want to get you guys more involved with the channel. You know, and we want to connect with everybody if we can. Also, you know, coming into the end of the year, we do have quite a few exciting projects. We got a couple of more really cool hot rods coming in for some chops, some channels, which is going to be great. So lots of steel fabrication. I just purchased, kind of a bit of a spoiler alert, I just purchased a 1966 International Travelall from home. I couldn't say no. It was sitting on Facebook Marketplace for like a year. You know, I think sometimes maybe the International could be a little bit of the ugly duckling, potentially. I don't know. I think, you know, obviously everyone was kind of, you know, probably a little bit more biased towards an early Ford or a Chevy. But this International just, I don't know. You get, look at the photo here. Tell me that this thing is not the coolest thing you've ever seen. I want to bring this in. I want to bring it into the channel. I want to do some stuff on it. A lot of you guys may have known that kind of pre-hot rodding, well, still hot rodding, but I used to really be into four-wheel drives. Loved them. Built tons of rock buggies, lots of mud trucks, and lots of, you know, small Toyota trail trucks. It was a great way to learn fabrication. An amazing way to learn networking with a lot of people and knowledge about building motors and transmissions and diffs and setting up suspension. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of bring that into the channel, a little bit more four-wheel drive style stuff, but it still kind of sits under the umbrella. It's still a very vintage, you know, nice looking Suburban. We're gonna keep it the way it is. I'm gonna call it the Copper Kettle. It's gonna sit on a set of 916 super lugs, so it's going to be kind of an old man skinny tire setup. But I want to show you guys doing a diff swap. We're going to do a motor swap on it as well, and a couple other bits and pieces. We're going to keep the interior very vintage. I want to make some really neat bumpers for the front and rear that sort of correlate to early style, kind of late 50s, early 60s kind of farm truck stuff. That's where probably the fast cut CNC is going to come into a lot of the play. And I thought it would just be really cool to kind of take you along the way. It's going to be massively done on a budget. So I'm going to show you a lot of tips and tricks on how to set up suspension and all sorts of stuff like that. So, you know, let us know in the comments if you'd like to see that on the channel. Enough of me babbling along. Get back to your daily routine. We'll see you next Friday on Bennett's Customs. Thanks very much, guys.